You're listening to G Woman Radio, the 24/7 radio for the gifted, genius, and game-changing woman.
Welcome to the G Spot, powered by G Woman Radio. The G Spot is a bold space for genius conversations with global game changers. Each episode of this live radio show brings together thought leaders, innovators, business owners, creators, and change makers for fearless conversations about leadership, legacy, innovation, and global impact. Now welcome your hosts, Alex Okoroji, Frankie Picasso, Swapna Abraham, Clara Rufai, and Mayuri Naidu.
Welcome to the G Spot, where genius meets game changer, and I'm Alex Okoroji, and I'm joined by my powerhouse co-hosts, the co-founders of G Women Media. So I know you all ladies are here, and Frankie, maybe you want to share where you're joining, where you're hosting from, and what you've been up to for the week.
Thank you, Alex. I am coming to you from Toronto, Canada, not the 51st state. And this week, I signed up for a welding course for artists. I want to make scrap metal big sculptures, and I wanted to do it for a very long time. And I saw this course, and I said, Dan, would you buy that for my birthday? And he did.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Clara.
Hey, everyone. Yes. Hey, everyone. I'm broadcasting live from our G Spot radio station here in London. And I've been gearing up for today's Build for Breakthrough show by immersing myself in some of the inspiring stories of the trailblazers we featured on our G list in our G Woman magazine. And I'll tell you about two of them later.
That's amazing. Wow. What's the weather like in London, by the way? Just curious.
Well, you know what the British weather is like. Right now, it's good. It's okay. And we're expecting some sunshine for the weekend. So yay.
Okay. Mayuri, are you there?
Hello, everyone. I am Mayuri Naidu. I'm broadcasting live from South Africa, where it feels like it's minus 150 degrees, but it's not. And I have just been shooting and writing and living my best life.
Wow. Well, I want to be you when I grow up. Well, you ladies seem to be definitely making something happen, and I'm glad that we all could get together again. I've been busy working on G Women Media, as you can tell. Just excited that we have an amazing guest who's joining us in the studio today. But just if you're joining us wherever you're listening from around the world, this is the G Spot. It is where we have genius conversations with global game changers. And I'm excited that you're here with us. Frankie?
Yes, every week we bring you bold conversations with women shifting culture, challenging systems, and creating new legacies.
Well, this episode is all about Built for the Breakthrough. And we are thrilled to welcome a game changer who is blazing trails, of course, in her field.
But before we bring on our amazing guests, I'd like to just do a quick shout out to our G list that I told you about earlier. So I have two women up in the spotlight today, or G light if you prefer. So the first woman up in my G light is someone who's a household name. I mean, I feel like this person actually personifies the theme of today's show, which is Built for Breakthrough, from shattering records with her 23 Grand Slam titles to breaking barriers as an entrepreneur and activist, making her the ultimate champion of champions. Serena Williams is a sports icon who also uses a platform to advocate for racial equality, maternal health, and business investment. So what makes her a G woman? Well, I believe it's the combination of her tenacity, her trailblazing achievements, and activism. All of this redefine greatness. Serena's relentless drive on the court shows every Black girl that no barrier is too high. Her business ventures, her advocacy, all of these help to prove that women of color can actually aspire to be anything, including being at the head of every boardroom. And of course, her outspoken fight for equality. That just reminds me that true breakthroughs, come when you lift others as you rise. And the second woman up in my G Light. Speaking of women of color in the boardroom, right? This leads me nicely into pointing the G Light at another amazing woman, this time a corporate visionary. I'm referring to none other than the former CEO of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi. Now, this woman has reshaped PepsiCo, introducing sustainable and healthier products while mentoring the next generation of executives. We believe she's a G woman because of her pioneering leadership and business innovation, which continue to inspire global leaders. She definitely embodies the theme of Built for Breakthrough. And one thing that she's known to say is that leadership is hard to define, and good leadership is even harder. So, on that note, I'm going to be passing the mic over to my co host, Mayuri Naidu.
Thank you, Clara. Beautiful G Woman indeed. If you haven't read our latest Top 50 G Woman Power List in the Global Issue 2025 edition of G Woman magazine, after the show, head on to www.gwomanmagazine.com to read about the amazing, gifted, genius, and game changing women featured.
Yes, well, thank you so much for that. And just before we bring up our very special guest, we'll go take a quick commercial break and we'll bring her on when we come back.
Are you looking for a unique gift for baby showers, bedtime songs, fun time songs, and songs that teach lessons? Family road trip songs the whole family will enjoy. Songs that will trigger young imaginations. Nurture and educate your children, but adults will enjoy too? Then choose a Children's Song a Day book. This extraordinary book experience contains 1,000 songs in 5 volumes that will delight children age 4 through 12, along with eye-popping illustrations and lyrics. Each song can be downloaded via a QR code on each page in 2 versions, one with full song, the other for a karaoke experience. Lyrics, melody, and singing are the creation and talent by Dr. Swapna Abraham, who embarked on a 1,000-day journey setting 4 world records in singing songwriting by the Golden Book of World Records. Each song is crafted for children to inspire dreams and explore life's wonders. They're available now on any Amazon near you, so get yours now and start singing.
It makes me want to frown. Down the hills, down the ocean, down
Yes, we're back. And if you're just joining us, this is the G Spot, where Genius Conversation meets Global Game Changer. And yes, you're joining us for the G Profile. And yes, we're about to meet our special game changer. Now, our guest today, her name is SharRon Jamison, and she is a cultural visionary, a corporate leader, life strategist, best-selling author, diversity, equity, and inclusion champion, and a leading voice on personal transformation, self-liberation, and interpersonal healing. Now, she is a business leader with 35 years of progressive experience in sales, management, payer, advocacy, reimbursement, and marketing functions in the biopharmaceutical industry. But she is also the founder of the Jamison Group, a leadership training and development company specializing in personal transformation and relational healing. Now, she's also a gifted orator who delivers passionate and inspiring speeches to audiences of all sizes. Now, with her programs and platforms, she helps many to dare to soar higher. Now, through her compassionate approach and her empathetic accountability, she demonstrates how the soul has these enormous capacity to forgive, embrace change, defy convention, and overcome insurmountable odds to pursue purpose in a way that propels you forward and, of course, transform the world. I'm so excited you're here to join us.
Alex, I am so excited to be here with you and all the other game-changing women, and just thank you so much for the opportunity to share and to learn together and to hold sacred space. So thank you.
So amazing. Hi, SharRon. This is Frankie. It's so good to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm doing well, frankly, and it's so good to speak with you. And I'm so excited about your welding class. And I'm so excited because you never really see many women doing welding. And I just wish you much success and you continue to be a role model for me. So thank you for sharing
I
that.
Thank you so much for saying that. So, SharRon, I have a question. I know everybody's going to want the answer to, and I know that your childhood wasn't the easiest, and I think that's an understatement. You once wrote, living in a society that was polluted with discrimination, bias, and prejudice convinced me that I was nothing, and sometimes I was convinced that I was less than nothing. So I ask you, in the theme of this show, you know, um, what was the spark that started your journey?
Yeah, what a great question. And I think what started my journey is that I had an understanding that I was made in the image of my creator. And my creator did not in any way create me to suffer, to feel less than, to be belittled and berated. And I took that information and that feeling, that self-belief that I was born in the middle in the image of my creator, to know that I was also creative and that I could co-create a life based on the skills that were encoded deep in my DNA, to not only contribute to the world with my gifts and talents, but also to elevate other people, to help them see their goodness and their gifts in a way that was dignity affirming and soul nourishing. And so I just think it was that work that was, I guess, instilled in me by my parents, who were um, born and bred into this in social justice, and helped me to understand the power of liberation, and not just the liberation from beliefs and policies, but also from the narratives that I had normalized or internalized that limited how I functioned in the world. So, a long-winded answer, but those are the reasons why: how I feel about myself and what my parents taught me to believe about myself.
I love that. We're all perfect. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Alex, over to you.
Well, I was just listening to SharRon just share a little bit about that. And of course, we wanted to talk about just some of the barriers that you faced, right? And we speak, I mean, today, right? As you're a woman, obviously, who's are climbed up the corporate ladder, building your own business, raising, you've been married, raised a wonderful son, and all of that. And I'm sure that none of this has been easy. So what would you say is a current sort of barrier that you've had to overcome in this journey, just getting to where you are right now?
Oh, what a great question. I think one of the barriers that helped me challenge all of the norms and the stereotypes and all of the political mandates was this understanding about the power of truth, right? And the reason being, when I was young, my family taught me that truth transcends and lies limit, right? And so, since I knew the truth of who I was, the truth of my circumstances, the truth of my context, the truth about community, that I was never alone, I think those truths gave me a sense of freedom to defy the odds and to challenge the status quo, to help me understand who I was and to help me experiment, to know what my gifts were, and to know how I could express my gifts so that I can have a sense of fulfillment. And so I think it's a truth. What do you know about yourself, and what do you believe about yourself? And the more we can understand the truth of who we are, that's when we have breakthroughs, because lies always cause breakdowns, and truth causes results in breakthroughs. And I think a lot of it is just what I call this sacred inventory, to understand who you are based on what you know about yourself versus based on what society has taught and told you were. And I think that has helped me to defy the odds. I left school left home at 15, finished high school, finished college, got my master's, married someone with 3 kids. So I was a stepmother at 23. Then I had my son, but I also raised 6 foster sons. And it all was rooted in a belief that I didn't know how to do it, but I had to believe that I could do it. And I had to believe that I had the resources within me to reach out and get the resources that I need in the form of community, in the form of expertise, in the form of education, finances, or whatever. And I think that belief, that knowing that you are resourced based on how you are wired, but also that you have access to other resources around you, help you carry the weight of your gift or the weight of legacy building. And I think that has helped me understand that I was never alone, but I also helped me understand that I had resources that were encoded in my DNA that I had to tap into. And when we know who we are and we know how we are wired and we believe that we are wired to win, we will find a way to win and to overcome unsurmountable odds in ways that not only bring fulfillment, but nourish our souls in ways that are dignity affirming. And that's really important to me. I don't want to just do things. I want to do things in a way that affirms a person's dignity as well as affirm my own dignity. And that's how I believe breakthroughs have happened to me repeatedly over almost 6 decades of living.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, SharRon. And I was just taking notes while you were talking. There was something that sort of resonated for me, and I know you mentioned truth. Truth obviously resonates for me a lot because if we know the truth about who we are, sorry, and then we can't be lied to, right? Because we know the difference between who we are and who we're not. But you also talked about community. And community is so important, to not do life by yourself, or to not do the journey without, having mentors, supporters, tribe, whatever we want to call it. For us here, we say our collective, right? And just to have the people who can travel with you, support you, show you a mirror, but also cheer you up and all of that. I think that does definitely contribute to what we start to really believe about ourselves and our own capacity. So thank you for sharing that. Clara, over to you.
I'm right here. Oh my God. And I'm here for all of it. I mean, that was just so enthralling listening to part of you, listening to you share part of your story, Sharon, because the one thing that tells me is that we all have to try and be authentic to who we are. That's the only way to live a successful life. Always, I think it was Bruce Lee who said, always be and have faith in yourself. Do not go out to look for a successful personality and try to duplicate it. So be true to who you are. And as Alex said, tapping into the tribe, the community, all of that is powerful and is so needed for success, really. So listen, Sharon, I have another question for you. But before that, I'd like to just remind our audience, who I'm sure are listening in, if you're listening live right now and you'd like to leave a comment, you can drop your questions in the chat, or you can request to come on air to leave a comment. Just go on the Listen Live page. You'll see a button that says Join the Listener Chat. Click that, and then you'll see where you can post a comment. Or if you'd like to send us a voice message, simply click the pink Start Recording button, the one with the microphone, to send us a message. And now back to our amazing guest, Sharon. There's one myth, or if there was one myth or a common misconception about the work you do, around personal transformation and relational healing and all of that stuff that you'd most often encountered in the course of your career, I would like to give you the opportunity to bust that myth today, right here and right now. So what's that one myth? What's that one
Oh,
misconception? Bust it.
oh my God. What a great question. I don't think it's one thing, but I would say the biggest thing is that you can you only have to change your mindset. I don't think that's true. I think your mindset is important, but I also feel like you have to address your soul and your spirit because
Mm,
I think our success is spiritual and strategic. And I think in our westernized culture, we have been taught to prioritize intellect at the detriment of not tapping into our intuition, into that ancestral wisdom.
mm,
And so I think it's really important to for people to understand. Yes, you can think better thoughts about who you are, but it's also important to understand at a soul level of who
mm,
you are. Because self belief is just not about thinking, it's about the wisdom of your soul, it's the wisdom of your body. And your body has wisdom that your mind can't even articulate yet. And so I think it's important for people to have their thoughts, but I also think it's important to understand the reasoning behind the thoughts. For example, I remember when I was a little girl, we had something in school called show and tell. And when it was my turn, I went to the beginning of the front of the room, and I told my class that I wanted to be a writer and an author like Mother Maya Angelou. And my teacher at that time said, "No, you can never be an author because little black girls don't write books." But however, that hit my mind, right? That little black girls don't write books. That hit my mind. But my soul said, you are creative. You are made in the image of your creator, so you're creative. You are not subjected to stereotypes and norms and policies. You are not um, limited to all of the political and cultural norms that will imprison you and imprison your gift. But even though I didn't have language, because I was 6 years old when that happened, I didn't have language, but my soul knew, my body knew that what the teacher said was not the truth. And so it did not penetrate my mind because when your soul knows something different, you have what I call spiritual armor to deflect messages or deflect messages that will undermine your ability to soar. And so I think that that's the thing I would like for people to say. Yeah, your mind, you have to change your mindset, but you also have to deal with your spirit and deal with your skill set. And what gives you the power to develop your skill set, it's not what only what your mind says, it's what your heart knows. Your heart knows more than your mind can articulate. And I think that is really important. And I would encourage people to, yes, mind has a role, but so does your soul, so does your body, so does your spirit. And if we're going to have holistic change, we have to make sure that we address all the different aspects of our humanity and our personhood so that we can embody those messages on a cellular level, at a spiritual level, because that's when you have success. That's when you are resilient. That's when you have courage. That's when you have faith. And that's when you have hope and joy. And hope and joy are needed for change. So, long winded answer, but that's what I would hope people will understand is that it's just not the mind. Your intellect is fine, but your intuition, all those other ways of knowing, all those other ways of growing, all those other ways that empower you are just as important.
Wow, Sharon, honestly, listening to you speak, the one thing that comes to my mind is that it's very, very important for everybody to start with the inner work first. Because, as someone once said, I mean, success is an inside job. I mean, just think about all the people who are struggling and trying to make sense, from the mind level of their lives, and they seem not to be making headway. Sometimes it's because they haven't realized that you do need to take root downward in order to be able to bear fruit upward. So, what you said there is really, really impactful, and I can so relate. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to pass the mic now to Mayuri.
Ron, thank you so much. It resonated with me when you said when they tell you what you can't do, but your soul is saying something else. Because I also remember as when I was about 4 or 6 years old, I was performing for my class, My Fair Lady and Sound of Music, and they were all laughing at me because no one understood what it was, and no one understood why this 4-year-old girl was singing all these songs. And they were like, "What are you doing? You need to, focus on math or science or something that's tangible." And my soul would say, "I don't agree with you." And I'm so glad I listened to it. So thank you for just reaffirming that for me. And you're blowing my mind and my soul. So thank you for that.
Good.
Uh, Sharon, you are paving the way for so many future female game changers. But as you know, it's still not easy. So I would like to know, what is the most important piece of advice you would give to the next generation of women leaders?
Oh, wow. These are some great questions. I would say something that I learned, gosh, in my 20s, that our destiny show signs in our history. And if we look back at our history, our childhood, there are glimpses of our greatness that are evident about what we will be doing and what we have been called to do. I think sometimes we don't realize that we get visions and dreams as children. And those visions or dreams that we get as children give us a picture so that we can understand what our destination could be if we make the right choices, if we honor ourselves, if we honor our gifts, if we build community. And I think that's really important for people to, instead of always looking forward, sometimes sit back and look backward and see what gave me joy as a child. What was I passionate about as a child? What was instinctive to me as a child? What did I know as a child? It's really interesting. When I listened to my parents, they told me when I was a little girl that I would line up my dolls and I would teach them. I had to be like 3 and 4 years old. How did I know to do that? Because it was instinctive, right? And so now, I'm almost 60 and I'm still doing it. Now it's on platforms and now I'm writing books. But something at that young age was a glimpse of what I was doing. Now, here's the challenge. If you have parents that support what you're doing at a young age, you blossom and you grow and you develop it. But if you don't have someone to affirm, or something we say in Christianity, to witness you doing whatever that thing is, it doesn't get developed. But I would encourage everyone who are visionaries, leaders, game changers, innovators, to look at your history. Your destiny, signs of your destiny is already in your history, because what you are good at, what you are called to, what you are passionate about is already there. Because I think our legacies are not just based on our efforts, but also what we do with ease. Because what you do with ease is a sign of your superpowers and your gifting. So I would tell people to look back, because there are signs, there are glimpses of our greatness. There is a preview or a testimony of what you could do if you just look back and pay attention to what captured you before you were so conditioned and indoctrinated with societal norms. Because I feel like what happens is that we get socialized out of our gifts. We get conditioned out of our calling, because we start listening to adults and to other people versus listening to our souls. And our souls are more open and more sensitive to the leading of the spirit when we are children, before we are socialized into what's wrong, what's right, what's acceptable, and before we start hustling for applause and belonging. So that's what I would tell people. Go back. There's signs, there's visions. Look at your dreams. Your dreams provide divine data about your destiny. And when we do that, you will have the information that you need to know what you're going to call to do. But you also have the courage, because remember, we get courageous when we are clear. Clarity and courage are always walk together. And so the more clear you are about who you are and what you have been called to do, the more courage you will have to do it. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. The signs of your destiny are in your history.
Yeah.
So if I understand that, find your joy, figure it out, and hold on to it tightly and preciously and develop it, because that's where you will find your purpose. Am I right?
Yes, and you have to hold on to it tightly, because society will tell you that you're holding on to something that's not, like you said, tangible, something that's not profitable. Because especially in American culture, we are so fixated or seduced by profits that we forget purpose. And we are so seduced by money that we forget mattering and meaning. But if you go back into your past and recapture your passion and your creativity and what caught your attention, you will get some indication of what you should be doing, because your essence will let you know where you need to elevate. And I think that's really important.
Thank you so much for that. I don't even have words. Alex, over to you.
So SharRon, every time you're talking, I have my notes are full because I'm scribbling and scribbling. I'm like, oh my God, now I'm scribbling, I'm scribbling. I was just going back in time, right? And I think I've probably talked about this before growing up. And, the one question that I don't like to get, what do you do? Because, or even filling out forms, right? Filling out forms is the hardest thing for me to do because the form, always expects you to take one thing, right? There's this one thing you're supposed to do. And that's how society, that's how we're socialized to see, to have ambition and to see this one thing but sometimes our dreams are so multi-layered, right? They're so diverse. They're so all in. I've always, people tell you, you hear that growing up, jack of all trade and master of none. And I've seen myself defy that in many ways to the point I call myself, the Jill of many trades and mistress of many, if not some. and I say this to say that even times when I feel like, and this happens often, it's like, I think Mayuri, we were having a conversation just a couple of days ago where you go forward, but you go back, you look back and say, hey, what is it that gave me joy? What is it that made me feel purposeful? What is it? And you find all those signs, like you said, there's data there that tells you where, and I think this advice is great in a way, if we can see how important this is that all the things that we think that, the journey ahead, the signs they're already there. Yeah. And society, like you said, as we grow up, society beats our dream out of us because we're socialized to just conform and do, find job, pay bills, make money, find job, pay bills, make money, find job, pay bills, make money. What about what gives us joy? What about what is passion? What gives us passion? What about what is easy for? And I think when I understood that truth, I started to adjust my own career, my life to fit the things that came naturally to me, the things that I enjoy, and build whatever I wanted to build out of that. So thank you for sharing that. While you were talking, of course, I started thinking in everything that you've, just the journey you get into where you are, there has to have been a defining moment, right? What we'd like to call the G-spot moment. That moment when you realized, hey, I'm built for this. Right. I understand there's a cultural ceiling. I understand that there is, a generational, there's this generational ceiling or whatever it is that has been limiting. But I know that I'm built for this. So can you think of one defining moment, that G-spot moment that just changed everything for you?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. And it's always hard to have one thing, but I would say let's talk about my corporate career. I'll just limit it right there. I remember when I was passed over, Alex, for some promotions. I had the bachelor's and the master's and all of that, and I was getting overlooked for promotion, and people who I trained was getting promoted over me, and it really started making me, I guess, erase my confidence and belief in myself. And something my father said that you were made for contribution, not for a career. And that liberated me because I felt like I didn't have to do a quote unquote career based on how America would define a career, that I was made for contribution. And the contribution will look any way that I felt called to provide. And it also helped me understand that I would never be limited by a label. And because labels squish you into functioning in one way. And there are many people like you who are multidimensional and also multi-talented. And when my father told me that, he also told me that a position doesn't give me power. What gives me power is understanding who I was. And so I stopped looking for positional power and start tapping into my personal power. But my personal power was based on understanding who I was and how I was wired, understanding my gifts and my talents, and tapping into not only strategy, but the spirit. So I think that was a defining moment because when I realized that I would never be able to actualize in a corporate space, that's when I started my businesses. First I started with a personal training business, then I started writings, then I started coaching, then I went into the ministry, and even how I understand the ministry is from a liberation lens. So I'm not welcome everywhere at churches because I believe in womanist theology. I believe in liberation. I don't believe in limiting God. I don't call God he. I don't believe in any of that. But again, what I said before is that the clarity of who I was and what I believe, that's what gives me and continue to gives me courage. So I think that was a defining moment, knowing that I could never be all that I felt I could be in a corporate system in that type of structural, institutionalized way. And it gave me permission to expand outside of that entity. And I'm so glad I did. And I'm so glad that my father gave me those words because it gave me permission to say, you know what, you can make contributions outside of a company. And most of my success has been outside of the company. So I'm grateful for that. And it helped me really to rekindle my self esteem that I had lost because I had been passed over so many times. Because at that time, it was in the mid 80s, there were no Black women in corporate in the pharmaceutical biotech industry, and so people didn't even know where to put me, and I didn't like feeling like I was my whole career, my whole sense of self was dependent upon being liked and embraced by a culture that did not see me nor believe in me. So that was a defining moment.
Well, thank you for sharing that, SharRon, and thank God for having fathers, right? The having mentors in our family who can give us those words of wisdom that we need to sort of keep moving. And that just resonated for me. I don't know, just before we go to a commercial break, sisters, Frankie, Bayuri, Clara, do you want to jump in, say anything, just contribute to something that she said? Otherwise we'll take a quick musical break. Frankie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was, it's interesting, SharRon, because as a coach, I too, my clients also say, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And I always do say, go back to your childhood and look, because I was 9 years old and sent away for National Institute of Broadcasting records. I wanted to be on the radio. It took me 55 years or something like that to do it. But that was my clue. I wanted to do that. And so, yeah, that was childhood joy. Thank you for sharing that.
And I just want to add to say that a good dad, like fathers generally, and a good father is obviously the first mentor for anyone, especially for the little girls. And it's so powerful, the impact that the words that your father spoke into your life very early on is so powerful, to see how that's framed your journey and your thoughts, and brought you to where you are today. So that's really, really, really worth celebrating.
Thanks so much for that.
Okay, so we'll just take a quick break, very quick break, and we'll be back.
Are you looking for a unique gift for baby showers, bedtime songs, fun time songs, and songs that teach lessons? Family road trip songs the whole family will enjoy. Songs that will trigger young imaginations, nurture and educate your children, but adults will enjoy too? Then choose a Children's Song a Day book. This extraordinary book experience contains 1,000 songs in 5 volumes that will delight children age 4 through 12, along with eye-popping illustrations and lyrics. Each song can be downloaded via a QR code on each page in 2 versions, one with full song, the other for a karaoke experience. Lyrics, melody, and singing are the creation and talent by Dr. Swapna Abraham, who embarked on a 1,000-day journey setting 4 world records in singing songwriting by the Golden Book of World Records. Each song is crafted for children to inspire dreams and explore life's wonders. They're available now on any Amazon near you, so get yours now and start singing.
Okay, we're back, and If you're just joining us, this is still the G Spot on G Women Radio, wherever you're joining us from around the world. And if you're, don't forget to leave your messages in the chat room. And of course, if you'd like to at some point, and I know that just keep leaving your comments. I'm seeing some of the comments pop in. So leave the comments. If you have questions for SharRon, also just leave it. So yes, this is the Roundtable Talk. And of course, over to you, Frankie.
Thank you, Alex, so much. Well, our segment today is built for the breakthrough. And listeners, there has never been a shortage of learning when you have the opportunity to hear what SharRon Jamison has to say. And I think you can agree with that. SharRon, we say that G Woman Media is being built for the woman who sees herself as a gifted genius or game-changing woman just like you. You once wrote, "Until you honor and celebrate your own gifts, you will never gather with the gifted. You must know that you belong and can compete." Before you respond to that, I just want to read this, what you had written a while ago. You wrote, "By the ripe old age of 7, I felt emotions that no child should ever feel. I felt hopeless and helpless, anxious, unsafe. I felt scared. I felt ugly. I felt dumb. I felt discarded. And I felt as if I wanted to die." So please tell us and our listeners how you go from that darkness to a place that allows you to say to yourself, "I'm gifted, I belong, and I'm going to soar." And you break through not just self-imposed barriers, but cultural and institutional ceilings.
Oh gosh. Ah, what a great question. And you reading that brought back some memories and I almost had tears in my eyes. So
I had tears in my eyes.
because I remember that feeling. Something that I have learned about breakthroughs and breakdowns, the breakdowns are always based on lies. And lies come to do 4 different things, Frankie. One is that lies come to burden you emotionally, mentally, intellectually, politically, because the lies create stereotypes that you always feel like you have to fight and defend who you are and fight and defend your existence. So that's burdens. The second thing that lies do is block you because lies create policies, right? And institutions and laws that create barriers for you to be great and barriers for you to get resources and barriers for you to get education and exposure. So I know that lies block people by creating barriers. And the third thing that lies do is they keep you in battle. You're battling for against people who don't believe that you are all of that, but more importantly, you're battling against all the lies that you have internalized
Right.
and inherited that make you feel not pretty enough, strong enough, tall enough, um, whatever the enough is. The battle you because you're dealing with sexism, racism, ableism, now ageism, colorism, texturism, all the isms that have a way of undermining who you are and undermining your humanity and your dignity. And the last thing that lies do is baffle you. They keep you confused. They're like, because you're always questioning, why is this the truth? You know,
Yeah.
is this who I really am? Is society right? Is society is the history books right? And so you're always in this state of having to push through the minutia and challenge the lies and challenge the narratives that tend to cause confusion about who you are and about your worthiness. And so I think it's important for people to know that lies will limit you because they burden you and they block you and they make you battle with yourself and others and they baffle you. They keep you confused. They distract you from your greatness. And I think that what was healing for me. And also, Frankie, I could not heal alone. I healed in a community of other women who had everything from GEDs to PhDs to MDs, people who had psychological evidence, as well as people who had ancestral wisdom. I needed all of that to
Yes.
help me remember and help me to reclaim who I was outside of what I was told. And I think that is what is important. To challenge the lies and know that you cannot challenge the lies alone, that you need healthy, wholesome friends. And you have to, I'm saying wholesome because some people are emotionally needy and spiritually greedy, and those are not the ones that you need in your life. But I think that's it. I think challenges the lies and having help, another set of eyes. My father used to always say, Frankie, it takes another set of eyes to help you rise.
Mm.
And that's one of the chapters in my book because I couldn't see myself outside of the narratives that I was told sometimes. And sometimes I needed another woman like, you and Frankie and Clara to help me see myself, to be a mirror to me so that I could see that I was a treasure chest of goodness and grace and gifts and allow those things to bloom and to remember that I was a builder and never a beggar. And that was really important to me.
I love that. And I think that's why it's so important what we're building here with our collective is that the women and their tribes can come and get what they need from other women. And so I'm going to invite my sisters to, join in. This is a round table, but I think many women will not see themselves as gifted. They'll say, well, you guys are, but I'm not. Let's talk about how do you find your gift?
I feel like what our gifts are. First, let's put a name on it. I think in our culture, we have divine gifts as something that you can do, right? But I
Yes.
believe that gifts are who you are also. So when I think about how to show people their gifts, I think we have to affirm each other. We have to. Questions like sometimes I ask my friends is, "How are you experiencing me?
Okay.
What do you see in me?" And I tell them, you know what? I know what gifts am I overlooking? Or I think about what do people always come to me for, right? And I think that when we define and see our gifts, it's not just something that we do, but maybe something that we are. We're able to see gifts differently. For example, one of my clients, I told her she didn't see her gifts. I said, you know what? When people are around you, you make them feel safe. Do you know that's a gift? That people feel safe in your presence? And so I think sometimes we have to make sure that we are not dishonoring our gift because our gift looks differently than someone else's gift. And so I tell people to think about who you are, how people experience you. What do people come to you for? What type of advice do people always come to you for? I think our gifts are present, but sometimes we undermine our gifts and then we invite people to undermine our gifts. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So it's like a
So,
personal 360.
absolutely. And I think we have to keep doing those 360s because, Frankie, we are different people with different people,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so, because different people bring out different parts of us. And so, we need to be around different groups of people because I feel like everybody, different people are help turn on the light bulbs or the light switches in our souls. And so, I get one thing from Alex. Alex turns on a part of me that you don't turn on, and then you turn on a
Right.
part of me that Clara doesn't turn on. And I think that we have to continue to keep being around people who turn us on, and then after we can know those gifts, we can name those gifts. First, we have to name them because you don't really know something until you can name it. And then, but
That's
after you
correct.
know it and name it, then you can optimize it. Then you can develop it because some of our gifts are just dormant. They're raw. And that's why we don't think that they're good because they have not been cultivated. But just think
Right.
about this. A tree starts off as an acorn, right? And so
Yep.
we need a glimpse. But again, I say go back to your childhood because your giftedness, your strengths, your superpowers showed up when you were 2 and 3 and 4 years old.
Wow.
They show up. We just have to go back and say, what was I good at? Everything people ask me now, Frankie, am I shocked about anything that I'm doing? No, because when I was, 4 and 5 years old, I was, teaching and preaching to shoes and lining up my friends. And, I was getting, I was looking in the mirror with a brush and I was preaching and teaching. I was writing books. I caught myself doing that. I knew I wanted to be like Mother Maya, Maya Angelou. So I
Right.
had even when I was 5 and 6 years old, there was something that said I was going to do it. Now I'm blessed that I had parents that nurtured that. That is that is what I wish for everyone
Yeah,
with their kids. Nurture those things that you see, because if our gifts are not nurtured at, when they're 4 and 5 or 6, when they start showing up, what happens is we start thinking that they don't have value,
that's
and
accurate.
Wow.
and that's the
Wow.
challenge.
Wow. Like I'm literally sitting here, and Alex said, I'm taking notes myself. And one thing that I've written down on my notepad is this: breaking generational, cultural, or institutional ceilings means confronting the stories that we've been told about our limits and then rewriting them into legacies of possibility for those who come after us.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
so
And the
powerful.
legacies have to be, and here's the thing, the legacies, we have to understand that a legacies is kind of like a book. It might just start sentence by sentence. I think sometimes in our hustle culture, we want everything now. So metaphorically, we want a whole book, but we look over the words, the letters, the
Mm,
sentences, the paragraphs, because remember, we are builders. We're always building. I tell
mm.
people, you're building something. Either you're building your sense of power, or you building your sense of feeling unworthy. We always are building something,
We're always
but
building.
we're always a building. But if you believe that you are a builder, not a beggar,
Mm,
you sit back and say, if I'm building, what stories do I need to tell myself? But also, how do I need to reframe some of my
mm.
trauma in my trauma? So I can reframe, for example, I can say, oh my God, I got looked over in corporate America for years. But the reframe would be, God was redirecting me, because God knew that this system, this corporation, could not help me flourish to my full capacity. You see that reframing? And so sometimes we have to know the stories that we have been taught, but also the stories that we tell ourselves, and ask ourselves, is that a story that will empower us? Or is that a story that we keep repeating and rehearsing, that is distorting our power,
Mhm.
or undermining our own self of agency and sovereignty? Is that story a one that's making me feel less than, or is that a story making me feel more of it, more than? So I'm a person, I reframe something. I always reframe. If something did not happen, I say, you know what? What's the lesson into this? Because I believe that my steps are ordered, but also my missteps are also ordered.
Mm.
And when you
Wow.
believe that your steps and your missteps are also ordered, I always
Mhm.
believe that everything is being orchestrated for my elevation. But you got to believe that, even when you want to call something a failure, which I don't believe that things are a failure. I think that things are being, when things don't happen, that you're being fortified. So I don't believe that's a loss. I believe that's a lesson. So it's, again, how do you frame experiences so that you can extract the wisdom from every wound? And only way to extract wisdom is in the reframing. But you have to believe that you know that you came for a purpose, because then you will look through the lens of purpose. I look through lens of as through purpose in everything that I do.
Well, thank you for sharing that, SharRon. And I know that we have very little time left. I think we have 6 minutes actually before this goes out. But yes, in the chat room, I know that there are a lot of messages here. I don't know, Clara, are you in the chat room? Do you see the messages? Oh, someone said.
Yes.
So okay, do you want to jump in a little? I know that Mayuri had one question, and we have about 6 minutes before we wrap this. Uh, you want to go?
I see people, well, lots of engaging comments shows people are engaging. They're unpacking what you're saying, Sharon. Someone said your essence. They're basically quoting what you said. Your essence will let you know where you need to elevate. Another
Yeah.
one says, "Wow, interesting discourse." Another person says, "I love the connections she's making. It's like connecting the dots." Wow. And
Wow.
then also what you did say about labels squishing you into functioning in one way. So a great conversation and everyone's engaged.
Yes. And somebody says excited about the show. The guest Sharon Jamison is a powerful force to be reckoned with. Her wisdom is priceless. Okay,
Wow.
so Sharon, you obviously, as always, are just dropping, jewels of just so much right here. I know we don't have much time. Mayuri, you did want to ask a question. Do you want to,
Yes, please. I know we are very short in time, but I just wanted to know, SharRon, for women who feel disconnected from their identity or purpose, what is one powerful belief or practice you can encourage them to embrace first on their journey of reinvention? So, what's that one step that they can take when they just feel like, I don't know what to do, but I know I'm meant for something bigger and something greater? A little small step.
Oh, wow. I would say that I was born from greatness, and greatness will be born from me.
Hmm.
And I think that mantra will help people remember that they were born for greatness, and greatness will be born from them. And I think to me, that helps settle and provide a foundation not only for fulfillment, but for impact.
Just keep
I
saying it
love
to
that.
yourself until you believe it. That's amazing. Thank you. Alex, over to you.
Okay, so this is our mic drop. We're just gonna jump into the mic drop quickly, so we can. Yes, Frankie, what's your mic drop moment?
My mic drop moment was your body has wisdom that your body cannot articulate yet. Or
Oh.
yeah, that was it.
Okay, Clara, what did you take away from the conversation with SharRon? Your mic drop
My,
moment.
my takeaway is this: remember that every breakthrough starts with the courage to challenge the status quo.
Oh, awesome. Okay, Mayuri, what about you?
Okay, I know we're short on time, but I have two. The first one is when SharRon said, I don't know how to do it, but I know that I can do it. So that speaks to such an inner knowing of who you are, what you're capable of, and how connected you are to source. And the second one is I'm a builder, not a beggar. That's a big one for me.
Wow. Well, my mic drop moment was when she talked about intellect and intuition, right? She said, all the other ways of knowing, right? And how it's not just, and that's true, because sometimes something, you don't even know how you know it. It's not to do with your intellect. It's all your intuition as well. So she talked about how, it's not just about our mind, but our soul and our spirit. And that for me was my takeaway. So SharRon, just before we wrap this up, any final words and, just where the listeners can find you and connect with you?
Oh my gosh, I am so grateful for this opportunity to be with all of you game changers. I would say this, something that I want to leave this message. It's something my father told me. He said, it's better to be hated for who you are than to be loved for who you are not.
Yes.
And I feel like if you hold on to
Absolutely.
that, you will always make the right choices that honors your soul and honors your humanity. And people can find me everywhere by my name, SharRon Jamison. They can find me on my website, my podcast, my newsletter that I send out maybe twice a month. If they connect with me, I would love to connect with them. And I'm really excited about what's to come, because I think women will change the trajectory of the world.
Well, thank you for sharing
Amen.
that. You can find SharRon at www.SharronJamison.com and, of course, connect with her on social media. Now, if you're listening, thank you so much for listening to our show today. Don't forget to follow us online as well at G Women Media and tag us in your thoughts with hashtag G-Spot Radio. You can also catch the replay of the show to listen back to all the amazing things that SharRon, our special guest, and everyone else shared on the show on, of course, GWomanRadio.com. and or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay genius, stay gay.
Game changer.
Thank
That's
you.
right.